For the second time in 2 days, the Prime Minister has taken the unusual step of endorsing foreign regime change.
We stand with the people of Iran in fighting against what is an oppressive regime, one that has oppressed its people, one that is, I hope, is removed by the people.
As storm clouds gather from protests and a potential US military strike, Anthony Albanese showing no misgivings about hitting the regime in Tehran.
We stood in this courtyard and expelled the Iranian ambassador for what they were doing here in Australia, intervening in our domestic affairs in the most abominable way possible.
A reference to accusations Iran directed anti-Semitic attacks in Sydney and Melbourne, and a reminder of the threads that tie foreign events to domestic turmoil in a country still grappling with the consequences of last month's Bondi killings. From a worsening row over the now cancelled Adelaide Writers' Festival after the board disinvited a Palestinian author critical of Israel, to fears over new laws that might stifle free speech and erode rights for lawful gun owners, the pace of change has been dramatic, driven by a Prime Minister eager to reassert himself in the wake of Bondi and deflect criticism that he was too slow to call a royal commission.
This is a moment where at times of national crisis, the country has come together.
Thursday next week has been set aside as a national day of mourning, and 7:30 can reveal that Israeli President Isaac Herzog is scheduled to visit Australia next month. But the first big test will be over a wide-ranging bill that would tighten gun laws, ban groups that espouse hatred and criminalise incitement of hate and intimidation. By bundling guns and speech into one bill, the Prime Minister has challenged the opposition to take it or leave it.
The terrorists at Bondi Beach had hatred in their minds, but guns in their hands. And this bill will get rid of both of those issues, will address both those issues.
Obviously, it is unusual to have reforms relating to firearms and hate speech and other issues all bound into one omnibus bill when it is so complex and important.
I'm very worried that a purported attempt to ban racial hatred could easily be a Trojan horse to silence criticism of all types of policies, including on immigration, integration, assimilation.
While some in the coalition have misgivings about the proposed laws and their effect on speech, there is a great deal of political pressure to back the government, not least as memories have been reprised in recent days of the so-called 18C debate of more than a decade ago, when the Liberal Party sought to defend the right to be a bigot.
We know that violence doesn't start with violence, it starts with words, it starts with hate, and it starts with dehumanisation.
Once we realise that some political speech is hate speech, whether it's political or not gets put to one side. The question is whether it's hate. And where people are inciting hate, what it's doing is destroying community cohesion.
La Trobe Law School's Andre Oberle is the founder of a group that fights online extremism. He was an expert witness in a federal court case last year between members of the Jewish community and Islamic preacher Wissam Haddad. Oberle says the changes might have made the Bondi attack less likely.
These laws would have actually got to a point where some of the rhetoric, some of the slogans, some of the hate would need to be toned down. The temperature would be decreased, and that would reduce an environment where people feel that it's okay to go out and assault people, to go out and attack Jewish people, whether it's verbally, physically or otherwise.
There are questions about whether the laws would work as intended, and the government's rush to legislate, egged on by an opposition demanding bold action, does raise the risk of unintended consequences, such as a proposed carve-out from hate speech laws for those who cite religious texts.
Where you're using religious texts to educate, that's protected, but it stops it being used as an excuse.
Another area of concern is that the changes are too narrowly focused on protecting the Jewish community. Allegra Spender, who represents Bondi and whose proposals are at the heart of the government's legislation, says they should apply more broadly, such as to the LGBTQI community.
At the moment, it only protects race, and I believe it should protect all Australians who are being targeted by people like the neo-Nazis or extremist preachers.
I do think the federal government at some point should look at changing the federal law's focus on racism to also include religious vilification, LGBTIQ vilification, etc. But now is not the time for that. Sometimes you need to name the problem and you need to respond to it. And right now it's anti-Semitism we need to name and respond to.
There is a sign the proposed changes are already having an effect. Neo-Nazi group, the National Socialist Network, announced today that it will disband to avoid its members being arrested and charged. But there is still a long road ahead.
Our words matter, our decisions matter, our actions matter.
The country isn't actually asking for politics. The country is asking for everybody to come together, to unify around protecting the Jewish community, but really protecting Australian values.